Hey everyone, my name is Jero Juujärvi and I work as a BIM coordinator at Kreate, mainly focused on this construction of soft structures like water management, earthworks, roads, and so on. And today's topic, I will be talking about the information-powered construction. But before we get to that topic, I have one mandatory slide to watch, which is company slide. So if you're not familiar with the Kreate itself, we are one of the biggest main contractors in Finland focusing on infrastructure, more than rails, roads, bridges, foundations. We build almost anything except the buildings. And we are growing fast yearly by yearly and have now a little bit over 400 professionals at our work. But let's get back to the topic of the day. So the digital tools and all these new gadgets that we have on our sites today, it has been amazing to see how it sometimes it feels like every week there's a new tool, new software gets published, and everyone has a little different tweaks and quirks how they function and what kind of benefit they will be providing. Some has AR, some has machine learning, machine vision, and so on. It's quite funny and quite awesome to see, in fact. But in a contractor's perspective, all these different equipments, softwares, and solutions, we are mainly looking for two different benefits, I would say. The first benefit, which is the biggest benefit also for us, is the total automations. So if we can automate completely certain tasks or things that we need to worry about, that is always a big plus. That okay, it's not anymore on our mind to think it's fully automated. We don't need to worry about it. And the second thing is clarity. So especially now when we have moved from PDF and DVG images to these IFC infra BIM like surface triangulated surface models for excavators and drones and IoT equipments, not drones, and point clouds. We have got a lot of source materials that can really help us give a greater clarity on things. It just makes our decision making, our planning, a lot of different things so much more greater, and those tools have provided so much value because of that. It gives us better understanding how we should do things, so we can get cost a little bit lesser, schedule a little bit lesser, and so on. But then happens this, like if we start looking our Starship projects that we have, the list of solutions and softwares that we are using is quite mind-boggling. It's like it's crazy to think that the project personnel need to operate and understand all of these and be able to execute those in such manner that it's not doesn't feel like waste of time, but more that it gives them time and clarity. And that's something that we here at Kreate have been thinking quite a lot. For example, we see that many construction companies have now, with the BIM-based production, they have started to hire more people on the sites who understand these tools and who can operate these tools. But then we here at Kreate, we see things differently. We think digital is not just a new layer top of all different layers of surveyor, foreman, and so on. But everyone should be understanding this BIM. Everyone should be using, having the understanding and the ability to benefit from the BIM. It shouldn't be that there's only one guy who knows all these things, but everyone understands a little bit, and then one guy is the master, of course. So we have focused on this empowering adaptability, basically meaning that we are able to move and change based on if the contracts will change now, especially when we have new contract types, or then the new technologies appear and provide tremendous results. And that's why we have, so to say, three, I would say, critical things of success. First, simplifying information management. There's nothing new there. It's just so critical that it needs to be lifted up from the list, so to say. Test new technologies, so piloting on machine learning and other things to check out what kind of potential there are. But in the end, the biggest and most crucial thing is on deployment and iteration. And especially when I say the not development, I really mean that people, like if we look things on the return of investment perspective, something like drone mapping, it's quite simple operations to do, and it's quite easy to deploy on all your projects. But if you have then some complicated enterprise resource planning system and you try to deploy it, you are looking for 3 to 5 years to get it fully like normalized using it. So again, you are not getting the value out of it if you are trying to make things too complicated. They should be as simple and as easy as possible, because they are. BIM is nothing rocket science. It's simple as everything else. And from those things, I have been like when I start deploying new practices or new solutions for the project teams, I'm looking for 4 different things. Now there's 4. So first, everyone on the project team should be understanding how different digital file formats works and what products or tools he needs to use to benefit from them. Was it then point clouds, IFCs, log points, whatever. Looking for one person who has the ability to produce that raw data and process it on the level of useness. So when we get data from subcontractors or from client or designer, we are able to process it further, all our own operations to process it further, that everyone can benefit from it. It cannot be just some consult or someone else. It has to be our guy to do it, so he knows the processes and different ways we can benefit from it. Then thirdly, when everyone on our team understands how they can benefit from different technologies, they also need to be deploying those. So for example, GNSS receiver, it's not anymore just surveyors or foreman's tools, it's workman's tools, it's excavator drivers tools. And that's why all these technologies that we are learning, they shouldn't be just behind one guy. It should be that everyone understands, everyone uses, and then few people are set to responsibility to produce, or then the 4th step, maintain it. And if all those things are filled and taken care of, the really good BIM-based production happens. But I think we could look, now we have talked quite a lot about the high-level stuff and more like this kind of like mentality and perspective. We could look more on use cases of this type of deployment in case of like how we did with the Pointscene. So the Pointscene, you probably, there we go, now you can see the logo itself. I will put myself over there. So the first way how we started with Pointscene, when we got shown about this point cloud and orthomosaics, was that was first to really understand how we produce the raw data, how we get it, and so on. But when those things were clear that okay, it's nothing, not rocket science, it's quite normal or simple operations, and we started producing these ortho and point cloud mosaics, ortho mosaics and point clouds. That's the correct words. And then immediately the project planning area started to rise up. Like that was like so many our tender period projects where there was a drone point cloud produced was really taking big steps toward the utilization and the benefit. For example, on the right side of the picture, we needed to build a big supporting wall between the railroad and the area of roads. And we needed to fit excavators and heavy machinery there to check that everything gets corrected and so on. And similar ways with the design and construct the projects. When we get the ortho mosaic and the design files top of each other, it's so much easier to see what kind of build layers we can already utilize on our project, and where do we need to really build from the everything up from the cut layer. So just in a perspective of like winning the tenders or being finding those innovative technical solutions, this project planning has really helped us to make much better solutions for the project and executing them, so we can get do specific like construction phases much more cheaper or faster, and getting the whole organized or pre-planned for the site much more easier. So that was like the biggest revelation, that hey, drones, point clouds, wow, that was really beneficial. And then we started testing on elsewhere. Like we piloted with Pointscene, that how about traffic control? You can actually take the picture of that QR code and check it yourself. But basically the idea that people could go from point to A with much more clarity, we wouldn't have random people walking or driving on our construction zone where it was not allowed, and making more risk for themselves to be between the heavy machinery and the ditch. And then also quantity control. So one of the big issues that most construction companies today have is that we have the documents of trucks dropping in materials, and then we have the many months later, we ask surveyor to stake out the area to calculate the quantities, and we should, between those timelines, we should be able to give estimates to the client that how much quantities has been taken or dropped off. And then with the drones, this was like the instant benefit that we started using, is that let's fly a drone once a month. We know how to process it, and when we process it, we get the digital surface mapping, where we can then compare between two layers and see how much has been cut or how much has been filled quantities. Great. And then finally, more of like a general message to all software vendors: the integrations is a big thing. In Pointscene, it's a good case example that having the integration, that we only put materials in Pointscene, but we can utilize the same data in many different softwares, has really allowed us to make much more benefit, that we don't need to jump between different softwares, but we have one software where we utilize it. We attach, for example, in Trimble Connect, we attach IFC, the surface BIM, and then point clouds. And in that way, we can see the full picture of how things are, what we need to notice, and so on. But great, I a little bit rushed the end, but hope you got good touch on that. Thank you so much.